We'll start with Gene Principe, Sportsnet.
Hey, hi, Dave. Sorry about that. Just
hey, Jen.
in here. Hi there. I just wanted to, today we heard from your, well, we're going to hear from one goaltender, and we did hear from one of the other ones, Mikko Koskinen, earlier. And Mikko, he seemed pretty comfortable the way things were with Mike, the way things, I guess he kind of hopes will be like with Mike. They're competitive. They both want to play, but they get along well. What's your kind of assessment of your goalies and the situation you have with them?
I think that's probably a very good assessment. They do get along. They're very different personalities, and but they get along. They understand. It's no different than a lot of other players on a team. You have a role to play. They recognize their role, and they both want to do it well. And I don't think either of them are saying I have to play every game, but they have a desire to play as much as they can because they both want to help the team win. So we're comfortable with our goaltending. Both guys, we got to get them up and running with the schedule the way it is. It's you're going to need two guys, and we need them both playing well. So they're both in good spirits right now, working hard. So hopefully we come out and they play very well.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
Next question, Quinn Phillips, Global.
Hi, Dave. I know you don't have the full picture yet, but I'm just wondering if I could get your thoughts on the depth at forward at camp this year.
Way farther ahead than we were last year at this time. They're just the competition for jobs is going to be very tough. We're going to have. I'm just talking to the coaches there this morning. We're going through the list, and there's some really hard decisions to make. And there's it's an interesting year in the fact that you've got players that are trying to play their way, not just onto the team, but onto the taxi squad. You've got taxi squad players that want to play their way onto the roster, and then there's going to be players that end up in Bakersfield. So the depth is a very good thing. There's probably, after the lineups are put in on the 12th, there's probably going to be some guys that don't like the depth because they're on the outside looking in, but it's a good thing for our club. And realistically, we're going to need depth. We talked about our schedule with the goaltenders, but you're going to need depth with the amount of games we're playing in the short amount of time. So great competition for jobs. We've got guys pushing hard, and it'll take some time to figure out, but I like where we're at in that respect.
Yeah, and just a bit more on the competition. What has been your sense of the level of competition just through the first few days?
I think it's been excellent. They've been competing hard, working hard, to the point of intensity where you're getting some scuffles, which isn't a bad thing. They're teammates, but they're all competing hard for jobs. And in a short camp like this, you got to get yourself up and going as quick as you can. And our players are taking it very seriously and have worked very hard. So far, so good. And we'll go into, we've got a full scrimmage tomorrow. So we'll see if some of our practice and our details we put into place come into play in the scrimmage, but it's so far, so good.
Next question, Reed Wilkins, 630 Chad.
Dave, what did you know about Anton Forsberg before camp started, or perhaps what have you learned from him here over the last 3 or 4 days?
He looks really solid. Schwartzy did a lot of work on him and really spoke highly of him. And so he's a guy that we kind of targeted and we were fortunate to get. And, he's a solid guy. He's got some NHL experience, understands the league, understands his role in the team. So he's been real solid in practice so far. Dustin Schwartz is very happy with him where he's at. So he was a really good addition to our club.
And just wondering, and maybe there's nothing to this, but I'll ask you just in case there is. When you run a practice, if you have 3 goalies in a practice, does that affect how you have to manage the drills or anything like that to make sure they're all getting some pucks on them and stuff?
Well, it's going to be unique in the fact that Forsberg will be on the taxi squad, so your top 2 guys have to get as much work as they need, and the third guy will jump in there when needed. And there's going to be days when, with our schedule, there's going to be days when goaltenders take days off or resting in a morning skate. So that third guy will come in handy. It's funny how it goes. Like for years, I've thought teams should be able to carry a third goalie because you need them for practice now and then. So now you have it. It'll be a nice luxury to have, but we feel Forsberg's a good player and come in, and if we need him, he's very capable.
Next question, Mark Spector, Sportsnet.
Hey, Dave, you've been around Tyson Barrie a little bit now, watched him work out for a couple days. I would ask you if you picked up anything that you hadn't thought you'd see, and why Chris Russell with him?
We're just kind of seeing it's we practiced for 3 days. We're going to go into scrimmage tomorrow. I'll see Barrie a little more. I'll see the pair a little more tomorrow, but nothing set in stone yet. But Barrie, you can tell he enjoys playing. He gets out there. He's got high talent. He moves the puck well. It was interesting to see the power play moving things around a little bit today, and he looks like he fits right in there. So I'm interested to see how in the scrimmages, see where we're at with him, see where that pair's at, and but so far he's fit in very well. Really likable guy. Looks like he's enjoying himself, and we'll continue to monitor him, and hopefully he can get up and going, and he can be a big impact player on our team.
Thank you.
Next question, Jim Matheson, Post Media.
Dave, Jesse has changed his number from 98 to 13, coming back to Edmonton. What's your feeling on a player changing his number, especially a number that was so close to Wayne Gretzky's 99?
You know what? Those things are, players have different thoughts on those things. I don't mind that he changed the number. I think it's good. He's got a fresh start. He's coming in and a fresh start with a new number. I think it's a good thing for him. He's a different person than he was before here, from everything that I hear, and so he might as well start with a new number. So I got no issue with it at all.
The other question I have for you: we have so many forwards. Would you, in a perfect world, I guess you'd like to see Neil and Cahoon and Shore all here. Is it a problem for the coach as much as the player? You'd like to see those guys on a line, scrimmaging and such like that, but those players haven't been around. So Shore
practice today, so I got a first glimpse of him, and Cahoon isn't far away. Neeler will be still be a little bit yet, but I know Neeler well. But you're exactly right. I'd like, with Shore in on a tryout and Cahoon a new player, I'd like to see them get up and going. So Cahoon skated for a couple of days now, so there's a chance he'll get into maybe one of the scrimmages this weekend. But I agree with you. I'd like to see them, get them up and going, just see what their attributes are and where they might fit best in our lineup. And in Shore's case, we've got to decide whether to offer him a contract or not. But he looked pretty good today for the first day. He skated yesterday for a little bit, and then first day he jumped into practice. He looked pretty good. You can tell he's a veteran NHL player. He understands what's going on. He understands practices and the NHL habits of NHL players. So we'll monitor him the next few days, but I'd like to see both of those guys this weekend in the scrimmages, and we'll start to get a better read on them.
Next question, Paul Gazzola, Oilers TV.
Hey, Dave. I know you said Evan Bouchard would push this year. Just wondering what your early impressions of him have been, and how you think Sweden might have helped him prepare for camp.
You know what? He's been excellent in camp. He's really, I think there's a maturity in him that's come a long way. The Sweden stuff, just playing this year, I think really helped him. Just the ability to go over there and keep playing. It's the worst thing that can happen for a young player is just to sit out for months and months. So he played over there, played a lot of minutes, but he's come in here and he has a new confidence about him that he thinks he can be an NHL player, and he's pushing that way. He's making good plays. He's engaging with his teammates. His work ethic in practice looks like more like an NHL player than a junior player. So he's coming along just fine. He's going to be a very good player.
Next question, Glenn Schiller, TSN.
Hey, Coach. So you're going into the season with the same goaltending situation as last year, and some of the months you guys were really good in terms of the goals against, and other months you're at or near the bottom of the league. How do you find more consistency this year going into the year with the same couple of goaltenders?
Well, I think we got to play better in front of the goaltenders. The goaltenders obviously have their job that they've got to do, and both of them kind of went on some hot streaks and then cooled off a little bit last year. So a little more consistency from them would probably be a good thing, but more consistency in how we play in front of them, I think, will be a bigger factor in it. And I thought for the most part our goaltending was solid. We had a couple dips here and there, but we got to get them both playing well. But to do that, there's a confidence that they have to have with how the team plays in front of them, and that's where I think we can continue to improve.
And another question I had was, what can you take away from, the 48 game season from 2013, that maybe things that you learned going into this one? I know it's a bit different with the fact that you've been playing teams 8, 9, even 10 times in 1 year, but is there any similarities you see there?
There probably is. You talk about the shortened season, the ability to get off to a quick start or make sure that your team is up and running as quick as you can is a big factor. There's not, you don't have the luxury of, okay, we're going to drop a few games and then hopefully we can chase it back down. In a 56 game, or back then it was 48 game, you can get behind the 8 ball in a hurry. So consistency, making sure you get off to a good start, are all factors that I'm sure every team in the league is talking about it, but they're main factors in going to be the outcome of the standings at the end.
Last question, Tony Brar, Oilers TV.
Dave, piggybacking off of Paul's question about Evan Bouchard, I'm going to ask you to put your scouting cap on. What is the ceiling for a guy like Bouchard, and what are some of the things that he will have to bring each and every day to become a full-time NHLer?
Well, he has his passing skills and his ability to find people, ability to get pucks through the net. The offensive part of the game is something that's certainly a strength of his, but having the ability to defend, having the ability to play against other teams' top players, those are the things that are going to dictate how high he can go. And all indications, from the year that I've been around him, that he keeps pushing forward, and he's looked very good in the camp this year. So I think he'll continue to grow, but he's got a high hockey IQ. He's got very good talent. And as he continues to mature and deal with the physical and the mental aspects of being an NHL player, I think you'll continue to improve. I think he's going to be a solid, I look at him, he'll be a top four D, that a guy can, really work the power play well. And he's just an intelligent player.